Join Forum IAS Academy, trusted by hundreds of toppers, including IAS Rank 1 𝐂𝐡𝐚𝐧𝐧𝐞𝐥 Sharma.
Hello friends, good evening. This is Vijay. In our today's news discussion, we are going to discuss these 5 topics in the slide. The first topic is related to Digital Personal Data Protection Bill. So in our previous analysis, we had discussed the same topic. Secondly, we are having an article related to the Forest Conservation Amendment, right? So in the previous discussion also, we had discussed the same topic. So these 2 topics are highly significant, guys. That's what I handpicked these 2 topics again for our today's discussion. Thirdly, we are having an article related to aspartame. So WHO, they declared aspartame as a carcinogen. So that's what the article had been reflected in today's newspaper. Then fourthly, the GI tax had been given to 7 articles from Rajasthan and Goa. So this is the 4th article we are having. Then lastly, an article related to NREGS. So center owes 6,366 crore to 18 states and union territories with respect to the NREGA disbursement, right? So these are the articles we are going to discuss today. These 2 articles, as I already told you, highly significant from the perspective of mains, and this is also significant from the perspective of both prelims and mains, but these 2 topics, they are significant from the aspect of prelims, right? Now without any further delay, let us dive into the discussion part. This is the first article, guys, the dangers in the Digital Personal Data Protection Bill, right? So the authors are Anjali Bharadwaj and Amrita Johri, and with respect to this article, we need to know some historic facts, right? In the year 2017, the Supreme Court, it pronounced right to privacy as a fundamental right, and it forms an integral part to the right to life what we envisioned in the Article 21, right? So Article 21, we all well know it is a right to life, right? So it is a part of fundamental right what we are having in part 3 of the Indian Constitution. So according to this judgment, in the year 2018, the government, they formed the Sri Krishna Committee. So the committee name is BN Sri Krishna Committee, and they identified user principles and they recognized the data generators as the data owners, right? So this is what the committee report had been stated. Then it also having certain principles, right to consent and right to forgotten. Right to consent means if we are providing some data, means if we are providing some personal data through UIDAI means, then we are having right to consent, which means after our confirmation only they can get the data from your database. So this is what the right to consent. And right to forgotten means after the accomplishment is over, the consent data, it need to be removed from their database. So this is their right to forgotten principles. And it considered data fiduciaries. So data fiduciaries are nothing but the data managers. So the people who are collecting the data from your Aadhaar or from your banking, they will be termed as a data fiduciaries. So they are a data managers, right? Then in the year 2019, the government drafted the Personal Data Protection Bill, but it was having certain controversial provisions which empowered the state to monitor the data traffic in the internet. So it actually have been paving the way to the police state. In the other sense, we can state that it is having provisions which acting as a breach for the right to privacy, what the Puttaswamy case has been pronounced, right? So then due to the public agitations, the government had withdrawn the bill in the year 2022. Then it came up with new bill. So with respect to the new bill, we all well known, it actually sent to the Parliamentary Standing Committee, right? So all the preliminary procedures had been over. With respect to the Digital Personal Data Protection Bill, there are several controversial provisions are there, right? So the first concern is the 10 categories of information have been exempted from disclosure to prevent harm to certain interest and to ensure smooth working of the government. These are outlined in section 8, 1 and 10 subsections are there from A to J. So this is the part of the Right to Information Act. The first and foremost concern with respect to the Personal Digital Data Protection Bill is it has been amending the provisions of the Right to Information Act. We all well know the Right to Information Act, it has been used as a tool by common citizen to unravel the corruption in the government apparatus, right? So with respect to the Right to Information Act, the public officials who are in charge of the Right to Information Act in public offices, they can deny certain informations on the ground that it has been acting as a request for the personal information. So if you are asking any personal information means they can deny certain information, certain amount of informations they can deny. And moreover, with respect to the denial, they can't do in a blatant way, which means there is one acid test is there. So whatever the informations, they can't deny to parliament or state legislature, it cannot be denied to any person. So if the parliament or state legislature, if they are asking any information from the public officers means, then they will be providing some information, right? So that's the amount of information they need to provide the same to you. So this is the acid test. So the public officials, they can't deny any information blatantly on the ground of the public information, right? But with respect to the Personal Digital Data Protection Bill, this provision has been going to get amended by the legislature. In the other sense, in the future, there will be a blanket ban on the personal information. So in the future, this acid test, it won't be there, and government officials will be having enormous power to deny the information on the ground of the personal information. Okay, so this is the first and foremost concern with respect to the Digital Personal Data Protection Bill. Then secondly, we are having, it empowers the executive to draft rules and regulations and violates the core principles of the Act. Secondly, with respect to the Personal Digital Data Protection Bill, we all well known, seriously, there will be certain violations by the state if we don't have any blanket protection means, right? So with respect to this bill, it actually empowers the executive. So it empowers the executive to draft the rules and the regulations, which means executives will be having enormous power. So it actually violates the core principle of the Act. How it has been violating the core principle? Because here we need to impose restrictions upon the state apparatus, because they are having huge possibility to monitor the citizen, right? But rather imposing the restriction, the executives are getting empowered under the Act. Okay, so this is the second and foremost concern. Then thirdly, we are having another one concern. It would allow government to exclude its cronies and government bodies, which is like a selective in operations. Let's say it will protect UIDAI and it will also protect some other government agencies, but it will impose lot of restrictions upon the NGOs and other organizations who are operating with the government apparatus, right? So this is what the author have been stating. So the provisions have been empowering the government to do a selective operations with respect to the restrictions imposement, right? So this is the third concern with respect to the Act. Lastly, the bill envisioned the Data Protection Board, right? So with respect to the Data Protection Board, it doesn't have any autonomy. The central government is having all power, from appointment, from selection of the chairman and members, and from fixing the tenure. It is having the enormous power, right? So the central government is going to play a major role with respect to the Data Protection Board, and this is what it has been stating here. It doesn't have any autonomy. The central government is having massive influence, range from selection of the members to fixing the tenure. And moreover, the Data Protection Board, it empowered to impose the penalty up to 500 crore. So if they are imposing the penalty up to 500 crore means, then the Data Protection Board can be used by the ruling government against the opposition parties or any citizens who are acting as a deterrent to the Data Protection Board, right? So this is the cause of concern. And moreover, the draft bill, it didn't provide any elaborate provisions with respect to the Data Protection Board. So there is a huge anonymity is there with respect to the Data Protection Board. So this is what the authors have been discussing. And in the discussion part, they have been discussing the same in this portion. And they have been stating that the Data Protection Board will be acting as a caged parrot, right? So these are all the concerns are there with respect to the draft bill. Therefore, the government and other political parties, they should come up, and even citizens, they should raise their voice to eliminate these concerns in the draft bill. Else, the future will be a disaster for the common people. So this is what they have been concluding, right? Now with this note, let us move on to the next article. This is the second article, guys. What can be amended Forest Conservation Act change? Okay. So the controversial amendment bill, it passed by the Lok Sabha and it awaits discussion in the Rajya Sabha. This is the context. And the bill was introduced in the last March. Thereafter, it was referred to the Joint Parliamentary Committee, and the Joint Parliamentary Committee it comprised of some 32 members from both the houses of the Parliament. And with respect to the bill, there are certain concerns are there. But before getting into the discussion, we need to know the Forest Conservation Act and their related provisions, right? So the Forest Conservation Act 1980, it stipulated that central permission is necessary to practice sustainable agroforestry in the forest areas. So if any tribal people or if any common citizen, if they want to do any sustainable agroforestry in the forest range means, then they need to get the approval from the central government. So violation or the lack of permit will be treated as a criminal offense. Okay. So this issue will be treated as a criminal offense. Then secondly, an advisory committee, it was constituted under the act and it will advise the center on these approvals. So who are making a request, these requests and all will be getting scrutinized by this advisory committee, and it comprised of some senior bureaucrats, and they will be having expertise from forest governance, right? Then thirdly, the act deals with 4 categories of forest. The first one is reserve forest, then secondly village forest, then thirdly protected forest, then fourthly private forest. Here we need to know the act it also included the ranges under the private forest. So even the private owning forest will be covered under the Forest Conservation Act. Then it targeted to limit the deforestation. Then its main aim is to conserve the biodiversity and save the wildlife. Moreover, the Forest Conservation Act, it primarily hoped towards the forest conservation. Okay, so this is the benefit what we reaped out of the Forest Conservation Act. Rather than conserving the biodiversity and wildlife, it focused more on the forest conservation alone, right? Now with respect to the proposed amendment, we need to know some historic facts, right? So in the year 1996, Supreme Court had pronounced one judgment related to the forest governance. It clearly stated that if the region is having the traits of forest means, then we should consider the concerned region as a forest. Whether it is gazette notified or not, we should consider the supposed region as a forest cover, right? So this is what the court had witnessed in the 1996 judgment. But the proposed bill, it clearly violates the Apex Court 1996 judgment. In the proposed bill, the government, it clearly states that it will consider the forest as a region only if it be notified in the gazette. So if it is not notified in the gazette means, from now onwards, the government won't consider it as having the forest cover. Okay. So the provisions of the bill, it have been violating the Apex Court's 1996 judgment. Moreover, with respect to the bill, it didn't pass through the standing committee. And the Joint Parliamentary Committee, it comprises of members from both the Rajya Sabha and the Lok Sabha. It also didn't propose any amendments. Although certain environmental activists and tribal groups, they raised the concerns over the bill. But the JPC, it didn't propose any amendments with respect to the bill. And moreover, with respect to the bill, from now onwards, no permissions needed for the linear projects. So linear projects of national importance in strategic points and concerning security within 100 kilometers of the international borders. Let's say we are having the maritime boundary and the topographical boundary, right? So the land boundaries exist between India, Pakistan, China and Bangladesh, Myanmar and with some other 3 countries. So we are having almost land border with some 7 countries. With respect to the land border, if the military establishments, if they are going to construct any strategic points or if they are going to construct any security base means, they no need to get approval from the government agencies if the construction is going to happen within the 100 kilometer of international border means. Okay. So this is the first and foremost proposal they made. Secondly, it stated that the security infrastructures, okay, up to 10 hectares, it won't require any permission from the government agencies. Moreover, with respect to the linear project also, the government, it didn't elaborate what is meant by linear projects. Okay. So there is a high ambiguity have been prevailing with respect to the term what the government had used in the draft bill. Then thirdly, from now onwards, no permission is needed for defense-related projects up to 5 hectares in the left-wing affected regions. We all well know the left-wing corridor, the red corridor is extending between the Pashupatinath temple of Nepal to the Tirupati temple of Andhra Pradesh. So between this region, the red corridor is there. So in these left-wing affected regions, if the defense establishments is going to get constructed up to 5 hectare means it won't require any approval. Moreover, this region is having high dense forest region, and the permission what the government had lifted, it will be impacting the ecosystem have been prevailing in the region. Okay. Then lastly, constructing structures or any practices promote livelihood and national security. This provision also not require any permissions from the government agencies. Okay. So these are all the concerns with respect to the proposed amendment. Moreover, with respect to this bill, it actually decriminalized certain activities. Let's say, here we are having the violation or lack of permit was treated as a criminal offense, right? From now onwards, it will be treated as a civil offense. If someone is practicing sustainable agroforestry in the forest region means, then it will be treated as a civil offense and not a criminal offense. Okay. So like that, there were several provisions which were decriminalized under the proposed amendment. So these are all the concerns have been prevailing with respect to the proposed amendment. Now with respect to this article, you can expect the question like critically examine the proposed amendment. So in this variant, you can expect the question in mains. Okay. Now let us wind up this article here. Let us move on to the next article. This is the third article, guys. The article is related to the aspartame. Okay. So what does aspartame being possibly carcinogen mean? So this is the article statement. And with respect to this article, I won't suggest you to go through the every line. You need to know what is meant by aspartame, and you need to know what are the grades of carcinogen we are having, right? So that much is sufficient. And moreover, with respect to this article, WHO, they recently declared aspartame as a potential carcinogenic. Okay, so that's what the article had been reflected in today's newspaper. And with respect to the aspartame, it is a sugar substitute that are used as alternatives to natural sugars. So I hope you would have consumed the several carbonated drinks, several sweets, right? So it may be sugar free, right? So in those recipes, the aspartame will be added. So these sweeteners, they are chemically synthesized. They will provide a sweet taste but without any high calorie content. So this is the mechanism behind the aspartame. They are synthetic chemicals, right? So they are commonly used in various foods and beverage products including diet sodas, sugar-free desserts and low-calorie snacks. You might be known about the low-calorie sweets and all, right? So these sweets and all will be having aspartame. So other examples of artificial sweeteners. What are the other sweeteners we are having? We are having saccharin. Then asulfame potassium, ASK. Okay, so this is the short term, ASK. Then sucralose, neotame, then advantame. So these are the other sweeteners we are having. But aspartame, we are profoundly using in carbonated drinks. And with respect to the aspartame, various research, it declared the aspartame as a potential carcinogenic, but WHO, it hadn't been declared so far. But before 2 days, it came up with a notification and declared it as a potential carcinogenic. Now let us discuss about the benefits of the aspartame. Primarily, it has been used by the fitness enthusiast for weight management. Then the people who are suffering by diabetes, they are using the sugar-free pills for their diabetes control, right? These sugar-free pills, they made up of aspartame, which means aspartame is a key component in the sugar-free pills, okay? Then we are using aspartame for tooth decay prevention. So they are artificial sweeteners. So that's what, they won't do any impairment to your teeth and all, okay? The teeth and the related structure and all, it won't be affected by using the aspartame. So that's what most of the paste, they are using aspartame as an artificial sweetener. Then they provide safe options for individuals who are suffering from phenylketonuria. It is a genetic disorder, and here some amino acids, the phenyl amino acids, it will be built up in the body. So if you are consuming sugar means the phenylalanine amino acids will be building up. So to prevent that, we are using aspartame for the phenylketonuria patients. Okay, so this is with respect to the aspartame. Now with respect to the carcinogen, we are having 3 grades. Okay, the grade 1 are they are having sufficient evidence and supporting their carcinogenity. The prime examples are smoking, asbestos, processed red meats and alcohol. Okay, so these examples, they are having sufficient evidence to support their carcinogenity. Then we are having grade 2 substances. So in grade 2 substances, the probability of carcinogenic activities is very high with respect to the material what we are using. So they are having high probability to create the cancer among humans and animals. So this is the grade 2. Under the grade 2, we are having 2 variants. One is grade 2A and another one is grade 2B. Grade 2A includes agents that are probably carcinogenic in humans, supported by ample evidence of carcinogenity in experimental animals, but limited data regarding humans. So we are having sufficient evidence with respect to the animal, but with respect to the humans, we are having limited data. This is with respect to the grade 2A carcinogens. Here the examples are red meats, DDT, pesticide and even night shift work. It fall under the grade 2A category. Okay, so even the night shift work, it is possessing the carcinogenic in the animals. Okay, then we are having grade 2B. It includes agents that are possibly carcinogenic in humans, but for which there is insufficient evidence of carcinogenicity in animals. So this is the grade 2B. So they are having possibly carcinogenic in humans, but with respect to the animals, we are lacking the data. So the reverse is grade 2A. Okay, and here the examples are cell phone radiation, then occupational exposure as a hairdresser. So the hairdressers, they are exposing to several chemicals, right? So they also fall under the grade 2B. Then with respect to the grade 3, the recommendation is assigned to agents that can be classified as carcinogenic due to limited or inadequate data even in experiments. So this is the grade 3. Like examples, we are having coffee, mercury, then paracetamol. These are the agents in this category. So we don't have any sufficient evidence both with respect to the animals and with respect to the human beings. Okay, so they will be shortlisted under the grade 3 carcinogen. So these examples are highly important because UPSC, they may ask you which of the following below possess the carcinogenicity. They can give you the night shift work and all. Okay, so you need to be aware of that. Now let us wind up this article here. Let us move on to the next article. This is the 4th article, guys. GI tags given to crafts from Rajasthan, mangoes grown in Goa. So for almost 7 products, GI tag have been issued by the Geographical Indications Registry in Chennai. Now the context is 7 products across India, including 4 from Rajasthan, were given the Geographical Indication tag by the GI Registry in Chennai. These are all the 7 products: the Jaleshar Datu Shilp, then Goa Mankurat mango, then Goan bebinka. It is a type of pudding. Here in the image you can see this is a Goan bebinka. So it is a Indo-Portuguese dessert. Okay. Then we are having Udaipur Koftagiri metal craft, then Bikaner Kashidagri craft, then Jodhpur Bandej craft, then Bikaner Ustakala craft. This is the Bikaner Ustakala craft, and this is the Jaleshar Datu Shilp. Okay. So these are all the products. It has been availed GI tag under the GI Act 1999 by the GI Registry, which is located in Chennai. Now with respect to this article, I want to tell you something. So far we are having GI tag for 232 products. Okay, we are having GI tag for 232 products. While you are going to write your prelims, you will be having some 400 products. Okay, so you no need to memorize everything. Just you need to know the products which are appearing in the current affairs. Okay. Now with respect to the GI registry, we need to know some basics related to the GI tag. And geographical indication is an indication used to identify goods having special characteristics originating from a definite geographical territory. With respect to India, each and every region, they are having some popularity over the products what they are producing. So each and every region, they will be producing certain products in a traditional way. They will be using the raw material which is available in their territory. They might be having some superior quality over the other regions. Okay, so these are all the factors. It makes some goods as highly legitimate with respect to the market demand. Okay, so for example, we are having Tirupati Laddu, right? So this is a GI tag which is availed by the GI Registry which is located in Chennai. Then the geographical indication of goods. It seeks to provide for the registration and better protection of the geographical indications related to goods in India. So this is the basic fact they have been describing here. And these provisions, the provisions what we are having with respect to the GI, it has been governed under the WTO agreement. So under the WTO agreement, the TRIPS is there, right? Trade related aspects on the intellectual property rights. So under the TRIPS provisions, the GI tag has been governed. And it was decided and also stated under Articles 1, 2 and 10 of the Paris Convention that the protection of the industrial property and GI indications are elements of the intellectual property. So it is primarily an agricultural, natural or manufactured products. So the GI tag, it will be provided both to the agriculture, natural and our manufactured products. Okay. So like we are having basmati rice, right? Then Palakkad and Matta rice. So these are all the products which got GI tag in the past. Then with respect to the validity, once if it is availed a GI tag means for the next 10 years, it will be having that tag. After that, it will be get renewed. Okay. So this is with respect to the validity. And moreover, what is the significance with respect to the GI tag? If the product is getting the GI tag means, then the market value, then the market demand of the product will be shoot up. Moreover, the quality what with respect to the product, what they are providing, it will be ensured. The consumers, they will be having certain guarantee over the product. Moreover, it will fetch higher profit for the producers. Okay. So these are the few significance we are having with respect to the GI tag. Now with this note, let us move on to the next article. This is the last article, guys. And this is an article related to prelims. Okay. Center owes 6,366 crore in NREGS wages to 18 states and union territories. So West Bengal is having 2,770 crore balance and Rajasthan is having 979 crore balance and Bihar is having 669 crore balance from the central government. The central government, it stopped its funding due to the non-compliance of the directives of the central government. So this is what it had been given here. Okay. The section 3 and subsection 3 of the NREGA Act, it says that the disbursement of the daily wages, it shall be made on a weekly basis or in any case not later than a fortnight after the date on which such work was done. So this is the provision the NREGA have been stating. But the central government, it have been using the non-compliance directives of the central government as a tool to not disposing the fund to certain states. So eventually, this action from the central government, it will affect the people who are depending upon the NREGA wages, right? So the rural demand will be poor because of this act of the central government. So with respect to this article, you need to know some basics related to the NREGA. I would advise, in the previous discussions, we had discussed n number of times related to the NREGA Act. Moreover, it is a evergreen topic and I would advise just to go through the article and you will get some provisions related to the article that is sufficient for us. Okay. Now let us wind up this article here. Let us move on to the question part. But before getting into the question part, let me give you a brief recap on what we had discussed in today's discussion. The first article is related to the digital data. Okay, digital data protection bill. Then secondly, we have seen an article related to the Forest Conservation Amendment Act. So the amendment has been proposed for the forest conservation. This is the second article we have seen. Then third article is related to the aspartame. So it is a potential carcinogenic and a brief had been given related to the aspartame and we had discussed about the 3 grades of carcinogens. Right? So this is the article related to the aspartame because WHO, they recently declared aspartame as a potential carcinogenic, right? Then fourthly, we have seen an article related to the GI tag. And lastly, we had discussed an article related to the NREGS. Okay. So these are the 5 articles we had discussed in our today's news discussion. And now with this note, let us move on to the question part. This is the first mains question for you. Forests are storehouse of carbon. Towards attaining the carbon neutrality by 2070, examine the government initiatives in forest conservation in the context of recently proposed amendments. Okay, so this is the question for you. just to frame the points by the discussion what we are having in our today's news analysis. Okay. Then this is the prelims question for you. Which one of the following best describes the term greenwashing? So it is a marketing gimmick. Okay. So it will convey a false impression that a company's products are eco-friendly and environmentally sound. In some cases, in some polythene bags, you might seen that this is an eco-friendly product, right? But it will be having a polyethylene. So this is the marketing gimmick. Generally, the corporations and all have been doing in the marketing their products. Okay. So the answer option A is the clear-cut answer for the question number 1. It conveying a false impression that a company's products are eco-friendly and environmentally sound. Okay. So this is the answer for question number 1. Then secondly, we are having a question related to the acid rain. Consider the following: the carbon monoxide, nitrogen oxide, ozone, then sulfur dioxide. These are the 4 gases they had provided. Excess of which of the above in the environment are the causes of acid rain. So it is a factual question, and I would advise you need to go through some NCERTs for this question. Nitrogen oxide and sulfur dioxide, they are prime ingredient for the acid rain. Ozone will provide haze and fog. Then with respect to the carbon monoxide, if it is present in excess amount in the environment, means it will impair the physiological functions of the human beings and other living organisms. Okay, it won't create any acid rain, so we can eliminate answer option 1 and answer option 3. So we are left with 2 and 4. The answer option B is the right one for question number 2. This is the third question for you. With reference to the water credit, consider the following statements. So it puts microfinance tools to work in the water and sanitation sector, right? Then secondly, we are having a statement related to, it is the global initiative launched under the aegis of WHO and World Bank. Okay. So WHO, it doesn't have any role with related to the water credit, because the water credit is an initiative which is launched by the Gramalaya. It is a NGO which is functioning in India. So the NGO launched the water credit initiative. It doesn't get launched by the WHO and the World Bank. So we can eliminate second option. Then the third option, it aims to enable the poor people to meet their water needs without depending on subsidies. Okay. So this is also true. So the water credit as an initiative, it was launched by the Gramalaya. It is a NGO. It has been functioning in India. So we can eliminate second option, and the statement 1 and 3 are right. So answer option C is the right one for the question number 3, right? Finally, we are arriving at the end of the discussion. I hope you would like this discussion. Subscribe us in all social media platforms and press the like button. Post your comment in the comment box. It will help us to refine the discussion further. Thank you for your patience, guys. Bye.